You lack discipline. Is that what you tell yourself? Maybe you think that, if you ask yourself, am I a self-disciplined person? Do I have discipline? What's your answer? Is it yes or no? In this episode, we're going to talk about the connection between confidence and discipline, self-discipline, and how you actually might have way more than you think, how to find the discipline to do what matters most for you, and then have the confidence to stick with it. Stay tuned. Welcome to another episode of The Art of Extraordinary Confidence. I'm your host, Dr. Aziz, and the founder of the Center for Social Confidence and best-selling author of numerous books. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about confidence and self-discipline. And this came up recently in a conversation I was having with a client where he is struggling with discipline, getting himself to put himself out there, dating, socially. He tends to get home from work and then just want to hole up in his cave, in his lair where it's safe and just zone out. And he knows, though, that's not creating the life that he wants. So he wants to put himself out there. He wants to take more risks. He wants to do all these things. But then in the moment of it, it's kind of like, whatever, and just wants to go home. So we're talking about discipline and how to get himself to do things. And, he said, I've never been a kind of guy where I'm like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to go to the gym 4 days a week, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and I just stick to it. I've never done that. And there's tons of ideas and strategies and books and everything out there to make you that kind of person, to make you more disciplined. And in our culture, being a very disciplined person is like, the virtue. They have a lot of willpower. They're a true American. Yeah, get shit done, right? And it sounds good and it looks good and it makes you look awesome and everything. But what if you can't? What if you just can't get yourself to do things? That's not working. What are you doomed? Should you feel bad about yourself? Well, no. Here's the thing. First of all, discipline and more discipline is not always the answer. There's a great metaphor I learned from Brian Johnson where it's like your life is like a river that flows between two sides of the river, two banks. On the one side of the river, the one bank is structure. And on the other bank is spontaneity. So if you are flowing in your life more and more towards structure, that's where you have some discipline. And then you have I do this at this time, this is mapped, this is structured, this is planned. But if you go too far to that side of the river, you get tense and your anus gets too tight. You're clenching your guts, perfectionistic, rigid. You freak out if you can't have your thing, or this doesn't go that way, or you don't have your morning routine and you hate yourself for it. It gets too intense. Now, you might need a little more spontaneity, a little more do what you feel like, man. Of course, if you flow too far down to the spontaneity side of the river, then it's like, I don't know, just eat the chocolate cake, smoke the pot, play the video games. I don't feel good. Just do that again the next day, right? Maybe you've been there. So then you might need a little more discipline. So first of all, right now, take a little self-inventory. Are you more on the structured side or more on the spontaneity side? And it might differ in different areas of your life. Maybe at work, you're really structured, but then in your free time, it's too spontaneous and it's just kind of a mess. And maybe you need a little more structure or discipline there. But then how do we get more structure and more discipline, if you decide that you do want that? And maybe you don't. Maybe you're like, yeah, actually, it's nice to have a little bit of spontaneity. But maybe you want a little more structure, a little more discipline. What do? Well, you decide, you just grit your teeth. This is what most of us do. I'm going to grit my teeth. I'm going to make it happen. And then maybe you do for a day or a week, and then you don't. And then I suck. I don't stick to things. You have that story, right? I don't stick to things. I don't follow through. I don't have discipline. And it becomes this shitty identity that you just tell yourself that you reinforce. And then you're less likely to try again. You're less likely to take that thing on because, hey, I'm the kind of guy or girl that doesn't finish things, right? There's a better way. So when I was working with this client, I'm asking him well, what would you do if you weren't holed up in your lair? And he starts giving me his should list. Well, I should do this and I should do that and I should date more and I should go to the gym more. And I'm like, that just sounds like a bunch of supposed tos. What do you want to do? And this is a crazy thing. Most of us have this distrust of what we want to do. Well, all I'd want to do is just eat bonbons. Who eats bonbons? I just want to eat Snickers bars and watch Netflix all day. Really? I mean, maybe part of you wants that, but I bet if you did that every day for a week or two, you'd start to get kind of dissatisfied. Little ugh, well, this doesn't feel good for me. So there's going to be things that you want to do that are underneath that hiding impulse, that avoidance thing that you're doing. So what do you really want to do? And he asked me, like, well, let me ask you this, Aziz. I know you like to run. Do you really feel like running every day? And I say, yeah, I do. I love it. I love running. In fact, I have to exercise discipline to not run every day because some days, like certain muscle groups are just fucking tired from a long run the day before, and part of me wants to just do it again and again and again. I'm like, let's have a running rest day here and there. So I just love it. But I'm not that way with everything. I don't want to go play tennis every day. I don't even want to go to the gym every day to work out. I do that about 4 days a week because I don't want to do it every day. I want to do other stuff too. I like running way more. And I said, well, here's how I focus on running. I love it. I think about what it feels like when I'm out there. I'm breathing fresh air. No matter what the weather, it feels good. If it's cold or rainy or snowy, at first it's like, ugh. But then you start to breathe in. In fact, when it's kind of windy and the rain is blowing, or rain is falling and the wind is blowing, you can smell a lot more. And you can smell the air and it feels wet and damp and I just feel so alive. And then I start to I just work through feelings and reflect on my day, have a little bit of space for me. And then the second half of my runs, I usually throw in some headphones and I get to listen to a book that I would love. It's like I'm reading a book that I love while I'm running. And then afterwards, I just feel so good. I feel high and happy. I'm more open and loving. Food tastes better, probably because I've depleted all my glycogen. And I'm like, I need energy. It just tastes really good. And as I'm describing this to him, he's like, yeah, I do love swimming. And he loves swimming. Running is not his thing, but he started to think about what it feels like when he's in the pool. So when you start to think about what do you really like, what do you really enjoy, you just want to do it. And that's the same thing for me. Like I get the hiding out in your lair, and I avoided approaching women and dating for 10 years of my life. And then when I wanted to do it, it wasn't like, you need discipline, Aziz, you go do it because you should. It's like, I want this. I want this bad. And I started to study online, like dating advice and pickup artist stuff. And it was like, yeah, go say this and try this. And all of a sudden I had like a playbook. I had a manual, like, oh, I can go do that. And I just got excited. Scared, of course. I was scared, very scared. But I want this so bad. I'm so excited about this. So what is it that you really want? You know, when it comes to being more fit or more healthy, it doesn't have to be a certain activity or a certain exercise. Like what sounds really fun to you? And you don't have to figure it all out either. Just pick the one thing. Maybe you just have an impulse to walk. You're like, I like walking. And then some part of your mind's like, well, walking? Yeah, that's not enough. You need to get in the gym. You need to do that shitty elliptical thing in front of all those TVs in that awful environment. You need to do that. That's what you need to do. You know, and it's like, well, hold on a second. Let your trust in yourself, let your intuition guide you. There's like a natural part of you that wants you to be healthy, wants you to be socially connected, wants you to have love. It's just covered by all this commands and shoulds and this, be this best person and all this crap. So just find out what's really there. Maybe you just want to start with walking and you just start doing that. And then the next thing emerges. Maybe then you want to be more active in a different way. Same thing when it comes to like, how about connecting with others? What do I really want? Well, I should get out there and meet new people and I should go to that meetup group and hold on a second, what do you really want? And you listen. You know, I just want to call up my friend who lives across the country. I haven't talked to him in like months. Just want to see how he's doing. And so you do. And you call that friend. And you guys talk for an hour. And you have an awesome conversation. And your heart feels so full and you feel so connected afterwards. And you didn't even have to leave your lair for that one. But it's different than zoning out and watching TV or whatever. So then that feeds on the next thing. Well, now what do I want to do? Maybe now you feel a little more full in your heart. You're like, oh yeah, I love people in the world and they love me. Like I'm not a lonely loser. Like, okay, hooray. And then maybe you do want to put yourself out there more. And maybe you do interact with a colleague differently the next day at work because of that conversation you have with your friend. So you see how one thing leads to the next. You don't have to have it all mapped out. And the discipline, the structure is like, I'm going to do this at this time every day for the next 17 years. And I used to do a lot of that. I'd get into something and I'd say, I'm going to do this every day forever. And I've learned to just temper it a little bit and be like, where's the energy? Okay, I have a lot of enthusiasm about this. I'm going to do this for now. And there's a little more spontaneity in there. So that's how we access discipline. Anticipate. Imagine what it's like to do the thing that you really enjoy. Listen to what sounds good to you and then move towards it. And similarly, one last technique I'm going to share. I know this video is getting a little long, but stick with me because this is life-changing. The flip side, when there's something that you know is not optimal for you, the beer, the pot, the cigarette, the thing, because that's part of that self-discipline too. We make good choices by doing things that are good for us and avoiding the things that we know are not optimal for us. But how do we avoid those things when they're so alluring? That actually, you know what? This is getting too long. We're going to have another video about that. How to avoid the stuff that you know you want to avoid, but it's intoxicating. So stay tuned for that in a future video. Share your comments below. Subscribe. I love being with you. Love for you to watch all these videos. Learn everything you can and transform your life. That's what I'm here to do, is help you do that. And until we speak again, may you have the courage to be who you are and to know on a deep level that you're awesome. Talk to you soon.